Welcome to Love in the Love Boat, where we break down episodes of one of the greatest romantic comedy drama television series of all time. I'm Istvan, Chicagoland's beloved children's musician and TV fanatic.
And I'm Michelle, pop culture enthusiast.
So come aboard, we're expecting you to join us for another edition of
Love in the Love Boat.
Hi you guys, welcome to the final episode of Season 1. If you are like us in the Midwest, or really in most of the United States of America, we are currently in a very cold snap.
Frigid, I would say.
And so you guys are going to be hearing the furnace in our home studio. I'm doing air quotes right now. But let's get into it. This is the last one. It is also Christmas, you guys. This is dropping on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So if, like us, you are celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Yes, happy holidays, everybody.
Call us crazy that we are doing a Love Boat podcast on Christmas, but we are. All right, so let's warm things up and get on a cruise and take us away from this very, very frigid weather. And let's cover our 3 stories on the final episode of Season 1. Today we have Pacific Princess Overtures, written by Dawn Aldridge and Martin Cohen. We have Gopher the Rebel, written by Ray Jessel. And finally, we have Cabin Fever, written by Ann Gibbs and Joel Kimmel. Michelle?
Guest rundown?
Yes, please.
We have Jonelle Allen, who played Andrea Martin, not to be confused with the great Canadian comedian and actress Andrea Martin.
The greatest. You know, you guys, actually, a quick deviation, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we always watch the SCTV Christmas special every single year, and it's one of the best things of all time.
It really is.
If you guys can find that, by all means, do it. Michelle loves Maybe Just For, the Martin Short, Ed Grimley character and his sketch in that, but there are so many others. John Candy as Divine. There's a million great things about the SCTV Christmas special.
If you can find it, watch it.
Yes, please do. Yes, she's playing Andrea Martin.
Then we have Diane Baker as Rita Newman.
No, Ruth
Newman. She's been in a lot of movies and just like 60s television shows. And then the great Kaye Ballard.
Oh, my gosh. What is she famous for? She was, like, out of control.
She's been around forever. I mean, she did a lot of musicals. I was just reading up on her. She kind of started out early touring with Spike Jones. She was a singer in his musical group. She was great. You know, there's always the comedic foil, and she was it this time.
She's playing the nosy neighbor, Cora Bass.
With some great glasses.
Accompanied by her husband, who doesn't speak one word, Herman.
Herman the perv. Then we have Gary Collins.
The great Gary Collins, Michelle?
Yes, once he was married to Marianne Mobley.
What? I don't know who that is.
Don't you remember the Gary Collins show?
I remember him vividly, but I don't know what for, you know, but...
he was an actor, and I believe he had like a talk show.
He was an actor, was he?
Well, he could have just been a musician.
Yeah, Gary Collins, he plays Ken Davis, a sales manager.
Yes. Then we have Antonio Fargas.
Is he Huggy Bear?
Amongst other things. Yes, he was Huggy Bear. He was Angie's father in All My Children.
I don't know what that means. I didn't
If anybody
watch
watched All My Children, he played Angie's father, Jesse and Angie.
Well, he is playing a character named Ken Davis. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No.
He's playing Lee Graham.
Really getting the names.
Guys, we are we are on
You can
fumes.
tell we've done 25 episodes.
Oh, my God.
But I have to interrupt for a second because he was also in a documentary that I just recently watched.
Uh-huh.
And it's called Is This Black Enough for You?
Yes.
And it's about black cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really quite remarkable and eye-opening, and I learned a lot from it. So I definitely recommend it. He was one of the, commentators on it.
What did you see it on? Do you know what you watched it on? Like
Netflix.
Okay. I haven't heard of that. I will watch that.
And I'm like a radio, TV, film major in college, and I didn't learn anything about what they discuss. There's all kinds of actors in it and stuff, and he's still around, and he's still acting, so it's really cool.
Oh, that's nice. We have the famous Pat Morita, but he is playing the most politically incorrect Mr. Yamashiro, or Yamashura. It bounces back and forth on the episode.
It depends on who's saying his name. Doing a lot of mixing up of
Makes Mickey Rooney's portrayal of an Asian American or whatever seem sensitive.
The whole episode was a bit tough.
It really was. They ended on kind of a...
Kaye Ballard's husband was a creep, too.
All right, then we have who?
My favorite, Eve Plumb.
Eve Plumb.
Vanessa Summerhill.
Yes.
Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway.
Oh, my gosh.
Someone's angry.
Oh, my gosh. We have a furnace going and a cat knocking drumsticks to the floor. We apologize, you guys, but maybe it's spruces it up. It's like a wild family Christmas. And then finally we have Don Porter, and he is playing Eve Plum's father, Slade Summerhill. It's kind of a killer name. All right, let's do this. How do we begin, Michelle?
With Gopher.
Is he sad?
He is sad. He feels like he's always getting picked on by the captain.
You know why he's feeling that way, Michelle?
Why?
Because he is.
What's bugging you, Gopher?
It's not just what, it's who. Captain Stubing.
What's he done to you today?
It's not just today. It's all the time. It's always, Gopher, get a haircut. Gopher, do this. Gopher, do that. I'll bet you that on every given cruise, he says, Gopher, do something at least 20 times.
How big a bet?
$50.
I'll take that bet. You got it?
Me too.
Report back in 10 minutes. Gopher!
That's one. We gotta clean up this cruise.
So I don't blame him for taking that bet and everybody taking that bet because he does get yelled at quite often by the captain.
It's true. The captain unnecessarily picks on Gopher. Gopher is our favorite character, and it is wrong. We don't know why he does it. You know what? I'm going to go on a limb and say this, that the captain sees a lot of potential
Tough
in
love.
Gopher. Yeah, and he doesn't want to let him slide and sort of like rest on his sort of like, you know, comical ways or something like that. He sees greatness in Gopher. Let's just say that that's what it is, and that's what Captain Stubing's doing.
Could be, and that is why Eve Plum falls for him immediately upon entering the ship. Much to her father's dismay. But her character, though, she was kind of like this, right, hippie type character
Yeah, light, kind of. Yeah, she was.
with her vibes.
Dude, I have that an asterisk next to it where she says, I feel the vibes. So,
Vanessa, I'm crazy about you.
I feel the vibes, Gopher. It's just that...
all right, there we go. Get that out of our system. She makes a very unconvincing hippie, in my opinion. But yeah, what were you going to say?
Yeah, she does, in my opinion, too. It doesn't really make sense to me. Should we go on to Antonio Fargas?
Sure.
He gets dropped off by his wife,
Yeah, Lorraine.
and he's, it's a business trip, so she can't come along. She'd be bored. She'd be bored on a cruise ship while he's working on business because there's
he is-
nothing to do on a cruise ship.
Well, I mean, you're poking fun, but he has supposedly worked for the cruise line in some way, right? What was his job? I don't recall. But
Marketing.
yeah, so he potentially was doing research.
But there's a million other things she could do on that cruise ship
That's true.
while he's working. Play shuffleboard, bingo. They really like bingo on
Yeah,
there.
they got bingo on board.
So I already, that was bad. But then immediately after she leaves to go onto the ship, then their neighbor comes, their nosy neighbor.
Cora Bass.
Yep. Kaye
With-
Ballard.
The wildest glasses I've ever seen in my life.
Pretty great. I'm going to get those someday.
Yeah, she just sees them, and then she says she's gonna look after him on the cruise.
Because he shouldn't be on a cruise by himself.
He's not happy about this at all
No. Because
because he's got more than business on his mind.
Excuse me, sir, but you're in my cabin.
There must be some mistake. But this is my cabin.
Oh? Well, I'm not leaving.
Well, what should we do about it?
I guess we'll just have to make the best of it.
I was getting sick of meeting in hotel rooms.
Lee, there's going to be a welcome aboard a cocktail party on the Lido deck.
Yeah.
We can be lovers later, but let's be people first. Please, please.
Okay, I guess I can wait.
Oh, good.
Is the party over yet?
Michelle, you love crossovers. So it's I think what happened is Arnold from Happy Days, he leaves and then Al comes and takes his place. Remember when that happened on Happy Days?
I did.
Because in reality, he was pretending the whole while. And in reality, he was a rich Japanese industrialist.
Buying up everything.
Everything in sight. And the captain welcomes him with reverence.
Mr. Yamashura, we've been expecting you. I'm Captain Merrill Stubing. It's a pleasure to have one of Japan's foremost industrialists as an honored guest. My personnel will respond with alacrity to your every wish. What do you say? Welcome aboard.
Oh, I'm Ken Davis, Mr. Yamashiro's sales manager in the States.
It's my pleasure. I hope you like our ship.
Oh, he will like your ship. Ship is made of steel from Yamashiro Steel Company, largest in Orient. Also hat and wristwatch. Shaving lotion. Swinging samurai.
Well, if there is something you need that you don't already make, let me know. Enjoy your cruise.
Thank you.
Davis, you keep eye on him.
Oh,
If he do good, I make him captain of my new oil tanker.
try to remember that.
Also remember, Davis, why we take this cruise. Huh? You make real estate deal with that Newman lady. Otherwise, Yamashiro get very angry. Make you houseboy on oil tanker. Little joke.
Oh, yes, sir. What?
Sir, get road on the show.
That's show on the road, sir.
Davis, you lip your button.
So yeah, early on, you see Gary Collins, working diligently to sort of like please Mr. Yamashiro. But it's not working because he's intent on buying up this other person's, what was it, like
Electronics company from her late husband.
And Gary Collins trying to hustle his hot invention that he's made up. And somehow, I don't even know how though, like smuggled onto the ship. Because like, if anybody remembers when...
Frankie Avalon?
Yeah, when Frankie Avalon brought on his gigantic 1970s computer to have everybody fall in love with one another, Gary Collins somehow got his gigantic invention onto the ship.
It's like a typewriter, so maybe it was just in a typewriter case.
You never saw that, though. And the thing looked like it weighed about 7,000 pounds.
And we didn't even explain. It's a typewriter that you speak into, and it types out
all of what you're saying.
Kind of like texting before texting.
Yeah, very, very antiquated texting.
Or dictating.
Yeah, it would just be like something for that, like if you were having a meeting or something. So he's trying to get Mr. Yamashiro to like put out his invention. He doesn't want to hear anything about it. He just wants to gobble up this woman's little electronics business.
Meanwhile, she's on the ship with her sister, who's newly divorced.
Hot to trot, she is.
Her and Doc. That's the first time I thought Doc was with somebody age appropriate.
Yeah, man. He doesn't care. Doc's great in that regard. He'll do anybody.
I thought they were a good couple.
Yeah, he did a cool dance move too on this one. He did like this like funky chicken dance move.
Forgot what he called it.
I don't know. It was great
like
though.
The Latin hustle or something.
Pretty good. Yeah, he had like some like dance instructor pants on, and he like did a sexual thrust by these two women.
It lured the lady.
It really did. It worked right away. Doc rules, man. I love Doc. So yeah, like Yamashiro, he just wants it, and he is doing all the running gag with them is the worst, where he just screws words up, like you haystack in a needle, like everything is just a backwards whatever. And I wonder if that really offended him doing that, because he almost sounds like a California Valley guy or something in real life.
I would bet it offended him if you asked him about it.
But it paid the bills, man. I think people just put their head down and did the thing that just paid the bills. And like you went to the bank, like pretending not to be able to do that broken English thing, man. Hey, man. Hey, dude.
I'm meditating. Stop.
And Eve Plumb is just not having it. She is not enjoying this sort of like commercial cruise.
This whole cruise is gross. And when I think of the money you spent on it.
Can I help it if I have money?
But, Daddy, you didn't earn it.
I didn't steal it. I inherited it from Uncle Zachary.
Who piled up a fortune from the sweat of the masses?
You could say that. He invented a deodorant.
So, and as she's saying, she's mad about the way her dad inherited his fortune, but it's probably kind of like what put her through school and everything.
That's the problem with a lot of these wealthy types. They may complain.
He doesn't have to work for it.
Yeah, you didn't have to do nothing. That is true.
And that's why she's falling for Gopher, because he works hard.
Yeah, he's a hard-working dude. The thing is, not too far after that, when Gopher started to make the moves on her. And then the dad immediately, it's always fun to go on a cruise with your stuffy father. It's a good idea. He does not like this at all, and he is very arrogant about it and very dismissive about Gopher. Very rude, quite honestly. And then shortly after that, they start to hang out with one another, and she starts to explain her whole philosophy and sort of like the cult that she's in.
The personhood.
And so that's when I realized I had to join the personhood.
Yeah,
With the what?
The personhood. It's a movement. We believe that nobody should lead and nobody should follow. We are all equal persons.
Well, you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen.
Only a beautiful person would say that.
Oh, thank you. This person would like to personally request your person to dance, but there's a small problem.
What's the problem?
Which person leads?
Nobody.
So she's kind of changing Gopher's tune on the way he does things after she explains all this. And then later on, they're hanging out a little bit.
Gopher's like going for it. He's like starting to listen and like buy into this
Well,
whole...
because he's getting picked on by the captain, because that's the whole subplot, is him getting picked on by the captain all the time. So,
AKA the man.
yeah, it's taking its toll on him. So they're at their disc. Hey, let me interrupt for a second. Did you notice when they were disco dancing that guy was in this scene again?
Which guy?
The guy that was sitting at the bar?
No.
The stranger?
The dashing stranger?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
He was in that like scene dancing.
No.
And I think he was in the bar later when they were in the bar, when Gary Collins was in the bar with the other woman.
No, I focused on another couple like that was like the groovy like power couple, 70s power couple. The woman looked like a Farrah Fawcett wannabe and the guy looked like Jose Canseco or something like that. Like they're sitting behind, they're weirdly not talking to one another. So, but no, I didn't notice that guy.
I'm pretty sure he was there.
I'll have to look again. Watch this for a third time.
So anyway, the captain's talking to her father, and he is basically telling the captain that he does not want Gopher talking to his daughter, and he threatens him.
Good evening.
Captain, excuse me. Could I have a word with you for a minute?
Oh, yes, Mr. Summerhill.
That's my daughter over there dancing with a member of your crew. Gopher? Call me snobbish, but I don't want my daughter to throw herself away on a gopher.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Summerhill, but I make it a point never to interfere in the private lives of my crew.
Would it make any difference if I told you I was a close friend of one of the directors of this cruise line?
None whatsoever.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Could I just ask for your help as a very concerned father?
Well, that's different.
I thought it was weird the way the captain relented, though.
Well,
First he's like, I will not take your threats, and then later he's like, but as a father.
That was it. I think that was actually kind of okay in a way, because in this episode, as kind of lackluster and weird as it was for like a season finale, I guess they were saving up all their strength for that season 2 debut. But like, this shows a lot of sides of Captain Stubing, quite honestly.
He's got a lot of emotions.
Because he would not be moved by a threat as far as like, talking to a higher up, which shows that he's a confident, honorable man. But then it shows that he's very human and empathetic, and that he would listen to the guy as a father to whatever, showed the complexity of Captain Merrill Stubing in a 2-second period of time, I thought.
That's also like admitting that Gopher's not that great of a catch, which I think he is.
Yeah, no, that's really lame. I mean, that's what I thought it was going to be, is like that he was going to defend him. That could have been a good opportunity to, follow up on that theory of like where he sees Gopher having potential and stuff like that. But it was kind of strange. That part was strange. Mm-hmm. It really brought down my vibes, dude.
The dynamic of the couple that is having an affair on the cruise. She wants to go out and enjoy herself on the cruise. He wants to stay kind of hidden now because his neighbor is on the ship.
Right, it complicates everything for him.
So they're having a cocktail together at the bar by the poolside.
Which is kind of a big deal.
It is. And of course, she shows up.
Who shows up?
Kaye Ballard.
Cora.
Lee, Herman, look who it is. It's Lee. I could die.
I could die, too.
Oh, what a surprise. It's me, Cora and Herman from the apartment building.
Cora and Herman from the apartment building. What a coincidence. Terrific. We'll see you around the ship.
I don't believe we know your lady friend.
She's no lady friend. I mean, she's a lady, but she's no friend. We just met. This is Cora and Herman from the apartment building, and I'm Lee Graham.
And I'm Andrea Martin. So nice to meet you. We saw Lorraine on the pier.
Lorraine?
Yes, Lorraine, your wife.
Oh, Andrea, you should meet his wife. Oh, salt of the earth, that woman.
Lorraine couldn't come. This trip is strictly business. The ad campaign for the cruise line.
Well, Herman and I are not going to let you work that hard. This is our first day out. Now, come on, we'll tour the ship.
No,
I promised Lorraine I'd take care of you. Have a nice time, honey. Hope you meet someone. Come, Herman.
Well, here's what I thought was weird, too. So after she, takes him away for the afternoon or whatever, he comes back to their cabin. And then he's saying that he's going to order dinner in. Mm-hmm. Did you notice it was liver?
I guess.
They really like liver on that ship. So one of the dishes was liver. One was duck l'orange.
Okay.
And so he orders the 2 dinners. And then, but he had just gotten back from spending the afternoon with them. And 2 seconds later, they're at his door all dressed for dinner.
She's obnoxious, man. Cora's out of her mind. I mean, she played the role really well of just like this overbearing, busybody,
And
whatever.
I thought his excuse was valid, saying he had 2 meals because he was reviewing them for the marketing on the ship. He didn't have to send it back.
I mean, he was doing the best he could, given this terrible set of circumstances.
So, once again, she takes up his time.
She's really blocking his C.
It's really upsetting his mistress, his cigarette-smoking mistress.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like pretty much bad news for Lee Graham.
Yeah. I mean, as we keep saying, this episode is just kind of a tough one.
It really was. It was just kind of weird. Again, I was kind of stunned that this one ended the way that it did. It is a decent, it's just like a solid Love Boat episode, but not what you'd expect from the end of the season.
From the caliber of actors, too.
Yeah, it was a little weak. Speaking of a guy who really has a tough set of circumstances, Gary Collins has really been dealt a very difficult hand because he is trying to keep his job. I mean, he is always constantly it's like both him and Gopher.
I was just going to say that right before you said it.
There is a parallel between the two of them because he is really trying to win this woman over, and he has the added difficulty of the fact that kind of the reason that she wants to hang on to her business is because her husband, who had passed away, started the business.
Right.
So you could understand, it would be difficult to let go of that. That would be your last connection to your former spouse.
We'll sweeten the deal with 200 shares of Yamashiro stock and another 50,000 in cash, huh?
I said no in a letter, and I said no to your attorney's attorney when he called me. Now, would you please buzz off, Mr. Davis?
Please, call me Ken.
Okay, Ken. Buzz off.
Why are you shooting me down? You know absolutely nothing about me.
Oh, come on. We have nothing in common.
We do so. We're here at the same table together.
Whoopee, let's get married.
Now, look, we do have something in common. That is, if you really run your husband's electronics firm and aren't just a figurehead.
Run it, Bud. I run it at a profit.
Well, okay. All right. Well, then maybe you'd be interested in something that I've invented.
What is this something?
Well, we have to go down to my cabin. I'll show it to you.
Okay. But if this invention of yours is as old as your line, you are in big trouble.
So now, Michelle, Ruth, it's safe to say she was kind of blown away by this killer voice invention that he's somehow gotten on the cruise.
Yes, he lured her back to his cabin with this invention because...
It was kind of cute.
It was cute. They were making cute jokes.
I never understood the whole line. I've heard it so many times in old sitcoms, would you like to see my etchings? Have you heard that before?
I have.
What does that mean?
It's from a movie or something, if I recall correctly, but I don't know what movie or what.
It was used all the time as like a line to get someone back to their room to take advantage of them or whatever. I don't know.
But they're falling in love with each other.
Yeah, she's liking him. Then she sees this thing that he's made, and she's impressed.
Mm-hmm. Even records them kissing.
With long M's.
Yeah. Been neglecting the Gopher plot a little bit. He's totally following this girl's vibe, Eve Plum's vibe, and you're not supposed to be following. That's the whole thing.
Hey, pretty good. Nice
yeah. I think I'm falling for it. So he basically should not be told what to do by anybody. So when he's in the captain's quarters and the captain asks him to take the cleaners.
His whites. Yeah, he wants to take his whites to get cleaned.
Yeah. He refuses.
And then the captain just fires him.
That's it. Because he defied an order. You defied an order.
Most lackluster firing of all time.
He didn't even do anything terrible. He just wouldn't take his clothes to the dry cleaner.
But because Gopher's on like secondhand, hippie fumes, he doesn't even realize what really happened just now, what just transpired. And he goes back to talk to the rest of the crew. And as he's recounting as if he was all excited, about standing up to the captain, he realizes what just took place.
Vanessa, I did it. I stood up to the captain.
Girl.
No more Gopher do this, Gopher do that.
Fabulous. I love you.
I love you, too. We win the bet.
Oh, who cares about that? I told the captain to stop calling me Gopher. And he ordered me to take his dress whites to the cleaners. And I said, no, not without a vote. And he said, Gopher, you're fired. And I said, it is Mr. Smith. He said, Gopher, you're fired. That's what he said.
Gopher, you directly disobeyed an order?
Well, I guess I did. But, well, he's just a person, and I'm just a person. And his person canned my person.
Hey, man, I think you're going to need this.
No, I can't drink on the job.
You can while you're looking for one.
As if firing wasn't bad enough, poor Gary Collins
Gets dumped.
and he has the same thing happen to him.
Yes, he also gets fired.
This dude, he had every reason to just leap over the edge because he's trying so hard to get this woman, Ruth, to, sell her business that he really does like her, but then she gets completely offended by the hard sell. He ruins that moment by continuing down that path.
Well, he's torn. He needs to do his job, but then he also likes Ruth.
Yeah. And then he has to head back to Mr. Yamashiro and explain to him that she has not sold. And what does he do? Cans him.
Yep.
Good morning, Mr. Yamashiro.
Good morning. Davis, no bush around the beat. Give me a report.
Well, the good news is they're having tempura for lunch. The bad news is Mrs. Newman. I tried everything I could. It's no sale.
No sale? No sale.
Boy, did he seem mad. What did he say?
Well, I'm not sure. But I think I just lost my Christmas bonus.
And then she doesn't even believe that he got canned. And so it's like he finally hits her up, Mr. Yamashiro. So he goes and talks to Ruth because he's going to just do it himself. I don't remember what he even was trying to say, that he was trying to sweeten the deal himself with something, stock in the company or something like that. And then she realizes that he really did get fired. Gary Collins really did get fired.
Mrs. Newman. Well, you harder to find than a haystack in a needle. I want to make you a new offer.
Oh, you're wasting your time. I already turned down your sales manager.
Oh, but that's why Yamashiro no longer have sales manager. I give Davis the whole heap.
You fired Ken?
Yeah.
Well, he was telling the truth. Excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, Mrs. Newman, I want to buy the factory, even if it costs me an arm and a leg.
Well, you throw in your head, and we'll talk.
Ruth, after hearing all the stuff from Mr. Yamashiro, goes back to Gary Collins' cabin to, I guess, make amends and apologize to him for acting the way she did and not believing him. So they're in his room.
Yes.
And she reads the typewriter.
I'm sorry, Ken. I should have believed you when you said your job was on the line.
It's not your fault, Ruth. If you hadn't fired me for this, you would have found some other reason.
Well, you find another job. Anyway, you've still got this. Yamashiro want business. You tell widow lady you in love.
Ruth, don't read any more of that,
You
please.
happen to be right. I do love Ruth, but I'm not going to use that as a weapon. Is this true?
Look, the invention is not perfect yet, and... Well, unless it spelled your name wrong or something,
Okay.
Ruth, I do love you very much.
Why didn't you say something last night?
Listen, you wouldn't believe me about being fired. How would you believe me about saying I love you?
I guess you're right. Would you believe that I believe that you... Forget it. I've decided to sell part of the company.
Oh, not to Yamashiro. That's crazy.
Not to Yamashiro. I want to sell it to you.
To me? Oh, honey, I can't afford that.
You can pay for it with half interest in your invention.
But it's not proven.
It is to me.
See, and then, Michelle, when they're making out, then the machine does that.
Oh, that's right.
So
Well, that's you neglected the whole, too, things already start looking up for him.
What do you mean?
She invests in his machine.
Well, that was never really, I guess so, because she was saying that she liked it, but that hadn't happened until then. And then she said, yeah, I think it's in the clip, but like that she was going to invest what I didn't understand. I don't get business,
And
obviously. I'm a
she
musician.
hires him to help run her company.
Yeah, which is nice, right?
It is nice.
That's so nice.
And they're going to get married, of course.
Oh, I love it.
After a couple of, days on a ship together.
I love it so much. And so they're happily ever after, those two. And Mr. Yamashiro is going to have to hire another person to mistreat and threaten all the time.
But not so happily ever after.
What are you talking about?
Talking about Antonio Fargas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This, you guys, on this episode that is somewhat confusing, a little lackluster, I honestly think had one of the best scenes. Like Jonelle Allen.
Yeah, as Andrea Martin.
She has one of the best like little monologues that I think that has ever happened on the show to deal with, like, again, when you were a kid, didn't really pay attention to these adult themes and stuff like that. It didn't have any meaning to you or resonance in any real way. As an adult, you pay more attention and you understand things, and that's what made the show interesting for us, because we have come such a long way from being little kids, living our life, and then coming back to the show. It's been really kind of weird. Totally mind-melting, man. And she realizes that this relationship that, she was hoping would become permanent, because he was threatening to leave his wife throughout the cruise, just really was not meant to be. And she handles it really, really well. And she basically lays it out for him in a way that he probably couldn't accept.
Go away.
Andrea, I can't. I want you.
I said go away.
I've been a coward.
It is not cowardice. Lee, deep down inside, you just don't want to leave Lorraine.
Andrea.
You know I'm right. You may want me, but you need Lorraine. I mean, you two have been married for a very long time, and sometimes when people have been married for such a long time, they forget to say the I love yous, or you look beautiful, or I miss you. I don't know, maybe it's because you said them so often they just don't mean anything anymore. So your life gets bland, and your marriage too. And so you think you want to add a little spice to your life. Lee, I am only the spice in your life. You probably have a wonderful wife. So why don't you just go back and let her show you how wonderful she can be?
Thank you.
Yeah, when I thought about this cruise, and I dreamed about a night like this with the ocean, the breeze, and the stars, and us kissing, I never thought it'd be a goodbye kiss.
After learning about Gopher's firing, the crew and Eve Plumb, they all feel terrible about what happened. So they're all going to confront the captain and try to get him his job back.
And the captain really shows the depth of his wisdom.
Jan, a real friend likes you for who you are, not what's on your face. If you judge your friends for passing judgment on you, you're not only judging yourself, you're judging your friends for judging you, and that would be using bad judgment.
I never thought of it that way.
How dare you compare the captain to Mr. Brady? Not even the Mr. Brady.
Because it sounded like a speech that Mr. Brady and the Brady Bunch movies. This is our third suggestion. If you have not seen the Brady Bunch movies, they are a spoof and a send-up, but a loving send-up of the Brady Bunch, which we also love. And the dad is always giving these crazy, like, convoluted sort of like wisdom speeches to the kids. And as Captain Steubing was saying,
Vanessa, there's nothing wrong in having ideas, but sometimes we're too hasty in acting them out. You see, Gopher, it's just as hard to give an order as it is to take one, but I have a great responsibility for this ship and for everyone aboard it. Vanessa, it's like being a father. Now, you may think that your father is bossing you around, but all he wants is what's best for you.
I know. It's just that sometimes it's hard to live that way.
Nobody said life had to be easy. Mr. Smith?
Call me Gopher.
Thank you. Call me Captain Steubing. Now, let's just look on this entire episode as an experiment. An experiment that failed. Now, all of those in favor of reinstating Yeoman Purser Smith, please say aye.
Aye,
sir. All opposed? Congratulations, Assistant Purser. You are hereby unfired.
when he said all of that, it really did remind me, and the fact that Eve Plumb was on the ship I could not help but
I'll
make
give
that
you
comparison.
that. Maybe it was intentional.
No, it wasn't intentional. I mean, this was long before.
But Mr. Brady, Robert Reed that's why they spoofed
Maybe that's
it.
why they
That's
did
why
it.
they spoofed it on those
maybe they-
movies, because he always was. We used to call him the fearless leader because he would always give his lectures and his calm demeanor.
Maybe that's it. And they did it on the Love Boat as well. If they did, that was really, really funny, really clever. But the captain did. He gave a really sort of nice speech and welcomed Gopher back, which, thank goodness.
I know. I couldn't imagine another season without him.
No, again, we said how stressed we get when it's like Gopher's potentially being fired from the Pacific Princess.
Right.
And guys, that is really about it. We didn't want to necessarily race through this episode, but it is Christmas and Christmas Eve. So I think, are going to enjoy. Did you get shrimp?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. And I've got a roast on the grill, even though it's 70 below. I don't care. I'll still brave any sort of weather. But on the cruise, they're back. They've docked. And Lee kind of says his goodbye to
Andrea Martin.
We'd better say goodbye here. You okay?
My back hurts. I never slept in a bathtub before.
You didn't have to do that, you know.
I know. But for the first time in a long time, my conscience doesn't hurt.
Nor mine. Goodbye, Lee. Good luck.
And then no sooner did they say goodbye to one another, does he see his lovely, devoted wife, Lorraine, waiting for him.
Yeah, and just guilty conscience tells her what happened, basically, and she's like, oh, that's okay.
No, she knew.
Oh, yeah,
she knew the whole time. That's the thing. The one thing, if you go back to the beginning and you see how calm she is, knowing full well that he's not on this cruise like for business purposes. She's a tough lady, a strong lady, and a very, very tolerant lady.
Very tolerant.
But he does have a change of heart, and they kind of say that nicely, that like he slept in the bathtub, and like, he really was trying to recommit himself to his marriage.
And perhaps she, if she did know, like she said she did, she let him go on this cruise to make a decision on what he was going to do.
True. And they did end that really kind of nicely, kind of in a great way. Very mature, very, I don't know. I thought that actually ended really well. Like I was saying, I thought she gave one of the best monologues on any of the seasons that we've seen. And then finally...
Creepy Herman.
Yeah, Herman. That's true.
After all the ladies.
I forgot about that because Cora jumps up like she can't wait to tell Lorraine the news, you know what I mean? Just to destroy her life. And Lorraine says, no thanks, there's no need. And Herman's off trying to get a number from some weird blonde.
Why would she even talk to him?
I don't know. He looked like kind of like the time to make the donuts guy.
He
it's just
did.
Like, I don't know who's going after Herman exactly.
No one.
Right. But then Gopher and Eve Plumb part ways. And there was an ongoing bet throughout the whole cruise.
Right. That how many times the captain would call Gopher out.
Gopher said it would be 20. And I think they were at 19. He was going to have to pay the crew.
Yep. $50 each.
But...
Okay, Gopher, time to pay up.
The captain only picked on you 19 times.
One short. That means you owe us $50 apiece.
Come on, pay up. Gopher!
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That will be $50 apiece, please.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody could hear all that stuff. The audio at the end of this episode got really weird. Like the music got really loud, and all of the vocal parts got really low. Somebody like really botched the mix. I think they just were like, "We're done. 24 episodes. Let's call this a day," because it got a little sloppy towards the end.
Imagine if they were making television shows now and they only had to do 8 or 13.
Well, now they could just get away with the fact that all audio is way too loud. Like every explosion is
true.
loud, and the dialogue is very, very low. That's why someone has to have the captions on for every single
It's true.
episode.
But guess what? I don't have to have the captions on for the Love Boat.
You don't?
Nope.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that basically sums up the final episode of season 1.
Yeah, really, we appreciate everybody that's been listening to us this whole year through all these episodes. It's been fun doing them.
Yeah, if you're new to the show, welcome aboard. We're glad you're here. And if you've been here since the beginning or, early on, yeah, we're so grateful for you guys to be here. That's why we started it up. We've said it a bunch of times.
Great things are on the horizon for season 2, so stick with us.
And guys, I'm going to make one last comment or point everybody in the direction of our GoFundMe. That was the point, to reach our goal, which we still have not done. So it is Christmas time.
We're very, very close, however.
It is the holidays. I had a dream that we were like, we made it a little bit more, but we still weren't there. It was like 88 and you needed to get to 100. So if anyone out there wants to put a little stocking stuffer for us, please look in the description or in our links in our Instagram, and you will find our GoFundMe. And yeah, any amount will do. Let's try and break it, or let's get to our goal before the end of the year and go into season 2 super, super strong.
So we don't have any more episodes until next year, literally 2023.
Yeah, no, we're going to be back, whatever the date is. I don't know exactly what date we're going to hit, but we will be back with the first part. We've been talking about it a lot.
It's a doozy.
The marooned episode of The Love Boat, the first episode of season 2. We will be back with our guest, Stephen P. Slivka. If you've been listening from the beginning, you probably recall him. So we'll be back with that, and we're going to take that in 2 different sittings. We're not going to do the whole thing in one. So we'll do the part 1 of part 2, and that should be very, very early in 2023. So have a safe and happy New Year, you guys, and hopefully we will see you all then.
See you next year.
And until then, I am Istvan.
I'm Michelle.
Captain Stubing, please come to the bridge.
And we are
Loving the Love Boat.